Welcome to the RotoWire DFS show. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Ryan Belongia. We're talking Saturday, February 22nd. The slate 5-gamer over at DraftKings. Ryan, welcome in. How has Champions League been going for you?
Thank you. Champions League did not really go well. Don't really need to complain about it, but I felt like I played fine. Just
Do you
didn't get
like
keeper.
the new format here? We're getting Do you like,
I've
I guess
seen
maybe for Arsenal, but I just don't understand the whole, I've said this a couple times, but I just don't understand, like, why do you spend 8 weeks ranking these teams? You have a playoff and then you just ignore the rankings and now you're getting these matchups. It just doesn't really make sense to me. And then you have, same league teams playing each other in the round of 16. It's like, couldn't you have thought this process through a little bit more? It just doesn't make sense. It's kind of mind boggling to me.
Yeah, I saw your tweet. It's funny because my friend sent me a message like a few hours after that saying like something like, "Oh, this new format is great. I mean, it worked out great." Blah, blah, blah. I just started laughing.
Well, like,
Yeah, I don't know. I see both sides of it. Like I don't know.
we don't need Liverpool, PSG. We don't need Atletico, Real Madrid. Like Aston Villa, like what is it? They're the 8 seed playing the 24 seed Bruges. Like just re-rank. I don't know. I just don't get why you have to have a bracket before like the teams are even decided. Maybe it's like a European thing that they have to do that because I don't know, but it seems kind of dumb in my opinion.
Yeah, it's far from perfect. Maybe they'll tweak it, but anyway.
Either way, we got a 5-gamer ahead of us. Rotowire.com/soccer trial. I am midway through an article that will be up at some point. Again, you're going to need a subscription to get into that article. Again, use that soccer trial. If you aren't subscribed, that's a 48-hour trial. Check it out. Check out our cheat sheets. That's what we'll have up on YouTube and Twitter, YouTube and X while you're watching this. So let's get in the slate. A little similar compared to last week, but not fully similar. We do have Bournemouth as one of the bigger favorites. They're home against Wolverhampton. Brighton, also one of the bigger favorites, kind of same, almost, I guess, right now, almost the same exact odds as Bournemouth here. According to our cheat sheet, both at 60.93 win percentage and basically the same applied goal total. Arsenal are the biggest favorite, though. They're home against West Ham. So I guess let me get your Arsenal thoughts here right away. We saw them at Leicester, the depleted attacking squad here. Should Arsenal still be being treated as a team that is just gonna, 80% possession, rack up a ton of shots? Like, it feels like the odds are kind of leaning towards like a fully healthy team, whereas like I feel like their implied total should be a little lower. That's just my kind of read here, just based off the recent games we've seen from them.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think maybe it's just because of how West Ham have been that Arsenal are just gonna have a lot of possession and create a lot of chances because West Ham can't really do anything about it. At least they haven't been recently. But yeah, still feels a little high. I mean, Arsenal might have Marino starting at forward. I mean, Marino came on and scored those 2 goals at the end against Leicester, but they didn't really create too many like great chances. It was really all one area. Just get the ball to one area. I mean, Sterling was epically bad in that game. But yeah, it feels like to me, back during that time when I was saying, Arsenal should almost never have an implied total above 2, and now like all their attackers are out. So that's kind of how it feels to me.
1.38 xG against Leicester, 11 shots, and I don't know. A lot of that xG came late in the
Yeah, like
match.
why would it be much different here? I agree with that. I know, like Leicester are worse than West Ham. So yeah, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just scrolling through their matches. Like they did score 5 goals against Manchester City, but again, that was just like 2 massive defensive mistakes, if I'm remembering correctly. They finished with 1 xG. Also, Kai Havertz and Martinelli both went 90 in that game, and those guys are gone. So
That's a lot different. I mean, 2 of their most important players.
yeah, it's so like, why are we expecting? Like, I
But
don't think they're gonna
West
have
Ham.
more than, I don't know what the odds are. I'm not. I don't. I'm. If I don't know. I might bet like under whatever their over under is in terms of shots. Like if it's at like 18 or something, I probably would take like under 15 if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think it's down to which West Ham is going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't looked great under Potter.
And I guess that we shouldn't overlook some of these other games because Tottenham are playing Ipswich at Ipswich and slight favorites. Fulham home against Crystal Palace, also slight favorites. So a lot of spots here that we can attack, and we don't have to. Okay, Arsenal their biggest favorite. We don't have to be like, yeah, got to play Arsenal because as we just mentioned, maybe the price in Nwaneri is standing out above the rest here. But let's get into forward here and. I started my article up, looked through the Bournemouth guys again, but sitting at 9,200, Yankuba Minta has had an up and down season. He's gone 90s, 3 straight matches, including FA Cup. Split of set pieces here, 9,200 against Southampton. I don't want to say like he's a lock for cash games, but given the amount of set piece takers at forward, given that he's cheaper than Son. I compared Minta and Son, kind of similar, decent matchups, both away from home, split of set pieces, both coming off the wing, kind of a thing. And only because Minta is cheaper, I also think Minta might be more likely to go 90. So I'm just kind of on, if you consider Son, you should probably more consider Minta. But what are your thoughts between those two?
Yeah. What up, Eugene? No, first, yeah, I agree with you. Minta, like if you just look at those last 3 matches, 90 minutes in all of them, I mean 89 in one, but he's kind of been on fire, taking most of the sets, and great matchup at Southampton. Can't really get too much better than that. You could throw Kluivert in there too, 8,600. Sure. Not as high of a floor as Minta, but Kluivert has pens. So I think, yeah, you throw Son in there. Those were the 3 that I was looking at, and I agreed with you that I think Minta is probably the first guy in, just looking at those recent games and the matchup and sets, and probably, yeah. It's an interesting slate. It's a fun slate because there's a lot of good options kind of at every price range and enough value to afford whoever you want to, really. So kind of like a play whoever you want slate, because it's not really that clear who the best one of these forwards is. And then there's other guys that don't have sets as well. But yeah, I think Minta for cash games would be my first click.
Yeah, you mentioned that the price ranges here. You got Minta and Son. Cunha, more of a tournament play, mentioned Kluivert. And then for your second forward, if you want to go down, I compare a little bit Dango Otara, 7,400 with Matthias Tell, 6,600. Again, 2 guys in pretty decent spots. Seem like they're ready for 90. Seem like they're just guys who are going to rip shots, playing in central roles, who have been taking a bunch of shots. And then the next price range would be, at least for cash games, where is he? Adama Traore is a little cheaper. He's 5,700. Kind of mentioned him last week, but that's kind of what I was looking at. So I guess the next question is, do you like Utara or Matthias Tell more?
Yeah, probably, with price factored in, probably Tell, but it's close. Bournemouth have been in such good form. You getting almost 90 out of Katara every game. Tell too, though, they just signed him. I think they want him to play a lot, have all the chances he can. So, he probably plays close to 90 here too. Really good spot. It's just, I guess it's which team do you trust more? Obviously, for me, it'd be Bournemouth. But it's kind of a new Spurs team, at least with Tell, and I don't know, not a new Spurs team, but like
they are getting a bunch. They got Madison, Johnson, and Odobear all came back from injury last weekend.
Yeah, I saw that. Did any of them, I was kind of worried about minutes for some people, but I don't think they subbed on.
They all played. Brennan
3 minutes
Johnson
for Odobear. Oh, Brennan came on. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tell and Kulishevsky were the only front 6 players who stayed on.
That would make sense, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I like both guys. I had the same thoughts. And then you go down a little farther, Danny Welbeck is 4,800.
Oh no.
It feels kind of weird mentioning that, but he should be much more expensive in the spot. I feel like he should be 7K, right? I mean, it's against Southampton, and
This is disrespectful.
yeah. So if you want to go down there for the goal, I mean, he's got to have
Danny Welbeck has the 3rd best odds to score on the slate.
right, and they're basically like the same as he basically had the 2nd, 3rd best odds to score for 4,800. So if you want to start there, that seems fine too. Yeah, there's a lot of options. You got to pick which spot you like best.
It's the classic Chris Wood spot here. Formerly, not current Chris Wood, but Chris Wood from a year or two ago when he was always sub 5K. He always had they're sometimes in decent spots, and he always had decent goal odds as a central striker. And it was like, well, he's so cheap, he's in this 4K range, so I mean, it makes sense to play him. And then 80% of the time he'd finish with 2 fouls committed and 1 shot and no goal. And then that other 20% time he would score. But maybe Welbeck probably has a little better floor than that. And as you can see, the last game he had a couple assists. So I mean, he's a little more involved than a number 9 like Chris Wood is. So I guess you could look at it like that and say, okay, I'm getting a few more floor points from Welbeck. So
yeah, it's that, and then Southampton have allowed 3+ goals in 4 out of the last 5. Like,
yeah, it's that, and Southampton are terrible. Yeah,
I don't know about for you, but Southampton might be the best matchup, right? I mean, if you had to pick, or it used to kind of be Leicester. I don't know. I feel kind of Southampton might be the worst team in the league right now. So like $4,800 central striker against them seems fine.
I think it's pretty close with Ipswich there too. But either way, they're not. Ipswich, these aren't good teams,
right?
I have been looking at Brighton in terms of how they're playing, because they went through a bad stretch. They had back-to-back wins against Chelsea. But how much does that mean? This was a team formerly where it was like, okay, this would be more of a ball dominant team. They'd rack up shots, sit in the attacking third a lot. But I'm looking through their game logs, and it's okay, 13 shots, 6 shots, 10.
They're much healthier now.
They are.
They had like a month stretch where they could barely field a team.
They still aren't like a high shot volume team, which I think which they were previously, I'd say. At least, I mean, even more so earlier in the season, it seemed like. And I guess I don't want to go back to De Zerbi, but yeah, that's kind of how it was under De Zerbi.
I just remember there was a couple lineups recently where like they could barely even field a team and they could barely even create chances in those games. Remember that one where like they played like Hinchelwood was the only midfielder. They had another with Hinchelwood and Reuter as like the holding mids. I don't know.
Yeah, that was
they're kind of back now.
I'm blaming Hertzler on that. That was a 7-0 loss against Nottingham Forest.
That wasn't even like I don't.
Yeah. So those are probably the main ones, at least for cash games. Our favorite Semenyo is my thoughts with Semenyo is he's always good. He's always been this guy this season who's 90s, takes a bunch of shots. But for me, I kind of said this last week, like Utara is taking the same amount of shots. He had a better floor last week. It seems like he's more likely to score playing in a more central role, and he's cheaper. So that's kind of what I think there. Cunha, pretty expensive here, 9,600 playing at Bournemouth. We're not going to play Bowen against Arsenal. If you want to play Iwobi in tournaments, go for it. Sarr seems like a good tournament option. We might get, I don't know, maybe Brennan Johnson starts here at 7K. Maybe he enters some conversations against Ipswich. Raul Jimenez, 6,900. There's plenty of guys in this range that you can click on and feel comfortable in tournaments. But at least for cash games, I don't know how far you want to go. What do you think about Liam Delap here, 4,900?
Against Spurs.
Yeah, is that your favorite tournament play?
No, but I don't mind it. He's been in good form, and I mean he's the same price as Welbeck. Really, what I'd say is like the guys we mentioned are like clearly the best options, and so everyone else is going to be pretty low owned. I feel like, at least in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of opportunity for tournaments because there really aren't any other guys in the cash game conversation. Yeah, actually, Delap, that's pretty interesting.
Has Sulemana always been midfield only?
Unfortunately, this season, yeah.
Okay, guess I don't know if I played him yet. Yeah, I was going to mention those Southampton guys. Onuachu's 3,500 and Sulemana's 3,400 midfield
Is
only.
this Onuachu's time?
It's one of those guys' time.
I love Sulemana. I mean, I tout him all. I was getting ready to tout him already when we got to midfield.
Okay.
But,
yeah, I mean they're at home, and Brighton aren't going to have Lewis Dunk again, and they always seem able to allow a goal to anyone.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And
yeah, why not?
Like Onuachu for 3,500, yeah, that's fine too. I mean, he got an assist and scored 10 points last time. Scored against Ipswich before that. I mean, he's too cheap, these Southampton guys.
Yeah, there's always these bigger slates, not 3 games, 5 games. You always find these cheaper guys who are
if you're a 90-minute striker at home against Brighton, that's 6'7", should cost $5K for sure. I don't care, especially if he's scored a couple goals recently. Like, it's just the prices are too cheap.
No love to Southampton. I think their place in the table is put into these odds as well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, they don't even have the lowest implied total, and then their 2 strikers who have been going 90 minutes are the cheapest players on the slate, basically. So,
I guess they've just been really bad. Makes sense.
That too.
I mean, I haven't really won money with them. I've tried to play some Southampton guys here and there.
They haven't been terrible. I can't remember who actually scored in the win against Ipswich, but Sulemana showed up last game.
I played Sulemana last week.
Yeah, these guys they haven't been bad for what their price is. It's it's their punts, obviously. So getting into midfield here, the names that stick out: Eze is 9,400, Madison is 8,700. But I think the first player into your midfield should be Nwaneri at 8,100. Do you disagree or agree?
Ethan the Kid. I mean, he's got to be the first click. He took took right-sided corners over Odegaard, which is really all you were looking for when they started playing together. Whoever is going to take those corners is the best Arsenal player, especially because that's like their most likely road of scoring at this point, probably with all the injuries. And they should dominate West Ham in that way, at least. So yeah. 8,100. I mean, also, like, he's been great. That's the thing. And especially last game, he was like their only creative outlet. I couldn't believe how bad Sterling was. And like everything went through Nwaneri. And
I think I kind of wrote it in my article, but you can just take the Nwaneri's basically producing the same amount of fantasy points as Saka is, and Saka would be
kind of right. He's kind of like a Saka light, yeah,
like 10, 11K on this slate. So, obviously he's not the same. He's probably not he's not as good of a goal scorer as Saka is coming in, putting those balls in on his left foot, but from a floor perspective with set pieces, given and how much Arsenal are looking to him in the attack, it's like he should be 10K. Trossard is 10.2K without sets. So it's hard to fade Nwaneri in this spot. What are your thoughts on Eze and Madison then? Are you going to get to them?
Not in cash games, no. Okay. I think Eze is a great tournament play. Madison just not taking sets is overpriced and not playing 90 minutes. Not taking sets and not playing 90 minutes. I'm not getting to Madison. You need at least a goal.
It was a stupid showdown against Manchester United. This must have been Sunday. And I don't know if you played this, but like
yeah, I did play it.
the winning lineups didn't have him in a 1-0 game, and he was the only goal scorer.
That's wild. I didn't know that. I mean, he scored 16.
Yeah,
There must have been other big performances.
Bruno had 10 floor points in the last 10 minutes. I had
Tell had like 12, I know, floor or something.
I had a Vicario captain, and it just ended up getting lapped by people who didn't play Madison because some of the Man United pieces had more points than Madison, who had the only goal in the game. It was just like a stupid result for DFS. I just had to complain about that for a little bit, but that's a reason not to play him.
Yeah, I'd rather play Kulusevski or Odegaard in tournaments, 83 and 82. I just feel like when they score goals, they're going to finish with over 20 points most of the time. Declan, I don't think Declan. I think you can consider like a better cash game play in my opinion, but still not sure I'm getting there. Marino, interesting if he starts at center forward. I could kind of see him getting overlooked. I don't know. I mean, people will still play him. Maybe he won't get overlooked, actually. I don't know. Well, how do you feel about that? I just think there's a lot of good midfield options, like with set pieces and people wouldn't really get to a guy like
Kai Havertz was 7,200. How popular would he be in this slate?
Not crazy popular. And so and Marino will be less so. So I think that's a pretty good play for tournaments. Mitoma, 68. I mean, pretty good play, and I wouldn't really play him in cash. So yeah, tournaments. You think Tavernier is going to start here?
You know what? I said it last week, but now he has another week of rest, and he did score last week as well. So I still think he's preferred over David Brooks, but we'll see. You know,
they've just been Brooks in such great form. It's hard to break that up. But
I'm trying one last time for Tavernier to get the start here, 6,700.
Okay. Obviously, if he started splitting sets, you could consider that. 5,300, Mateus Fernandez seems pretty good at home against. Assuming I wouldn't want Smallbone to start again. I don't think he will, but Smallbone poached like three corners from him in the first half. So I would play Fernandez if I knew he was I wouldn't want him if Ryan Manning started necessarily. I want Fernandez to have the monopoly, but 5,300 is a pretty good price. And then, there's other guys, but I'll just go down. Sasa Lukic dropped 20 floor points after we mentioned him as an afterthought on the pod last week. And he's getting talked up by the manager. He's been good enough to keep Pereira out of the squad. He's been really good. So home against Crystal Palace for 4,100 with no Harry Wilson. So taking pretty much a monopoly. I think he'll be owned in cash games.
He was roughly 30% last week, and the only reason I didn't play him was because I didn't need to. I didn't need the money.
Same. I didn't go that low. I just and also we thought, as everyone did, that he's going to score you 7 points, right?
Right.
Not 20. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, not Fulham absolutely dominated Nottingham Forest in that game, just from a overall numbers perspective and from a match perspective. I know that they needed a winner in the end because Chris Wood got a stupid goal that was whatever. But obviously no one expected whatever they had, 20 plus shots and 15 corners probably. It was just I mean, we could say that again and be like, well, if they don't get those however many corners and however many shots, all those chances created, shots assisted for Lukic, it's probably going to be a 7 to 8 point floor here. But again, for 4,100, that doesn't really matter. But if he again gets 20, then that's just going to break open the slate, and you're going to be like, dang, I guess I should have just played him and not played Phil Foden because I had the money.
Right. No, I agree. And I think you probably just play him in cash games here. And he might even have Like, I don't think he's going to finish the season on 0 goals. That's like he's taken multiple shots in 3 out of the last 5. He's gotten in some good positions. I don't think he's going to finish the season on 0 goals. But yeah, he's, probably just get you 7 or 8 points.
Yeah, back-to-back games with 7 corners.
Yeah.
Not taking a ton of shots, though. He has 2 shots on target all season in 1,500 minutes.
Right. So the upside's not like huge.
But he's still, he is taking free kicks, so that would lead to shots, as one would say. Sometimes, oftentimes.
Yeah, I think he's in there on corner, or no, never mind. He's not. He takes. I was gonna say I see him getting in the box. He's like, I don't know. He's got. I was trying to think of a player to compare him to, but doesn't matter.
Yeah, man, we were really good. We were really good last week. You ended with Lukic, and then like my call at the end was like, why not? Why can't Fulham just dominate Nottingham Forest? And then all their guys just smashed completely and they're all like 5K. Tough times that I didn't actually follow my own strategy. So that's unfortunate. But James Ward-Prowse, 36. No. I don't think there's anyone. I mean, we're mentioning a $4,100 set piece taker and Nwaneri. We pretty much have like those are going to be the 2 guys in cash games. Anything else you want to point out right now in terms of?
No, yeah, else? Those are going to be the 2 guys. You're right, and then there's a bunch of other like pretty good options. I would say there'll be like 5 pretty good options. Just pick whoever. But yeah, Nwaneri the best. Lukic, great point per dollar.
Yeah, if you want to move off Lukic because he'll be popular, there are.
Moving off Lukic and Turney seems like a pretty good move.
I mean, Suleimana's down there
again. Like that's the thing, though. If I fade Lukic and he scores
15
or again, I'm just gonna like that. Like
you're gonna be pissed and probably quit DFS.
Yeah.
That's the only problem. And then you have Ryan Christie, who had, I think, 24 or whatever he had last game, a goal and assist, just doing a little bit of everything with no set pieces. Just a classic result there for Ryan Christie. He's 4,500. I was going to mention Tyler Adams. He's had a couple chances created in his last 2 easy matches, and that also resulted in a couple assists. So just if you're looking to move off of Lukic in tournaments, just guys like that. Great spot for Bournemouth. Tyler Adams is creating chances as well. So assists are possible kind of anywhere. But for defender, I think we have the money. I think this is a spot where you don't want to fade Pedro Porro. He's 6,400.
Lock him in. I agree.
Like
I look for spots to fade Porro, but not when he's taken he's been taking half the sets again the last 2 games, right?
It's basically all over the place.
The last 2 games, he took the last 2 games, which is all that matters. So yeah, you just lock him in. We already talked about value.
We don't, even if it's like it's not guaranteed, I just don't think you want to mess with it.
No, honestly, there's so much value. Like I would play him for 8K here and wouldn't even think about it. You just go to a different value piece. You just play like Sasa Lukic or like Welbeck or both of them.
He's the only defender here with a 20-point floor possibility, especially going against Ipswich Town. And he's not, and like you're not strapped for cash. So like if he gets that 20 points and he's going to be down over 50%, like you just need that.
Yeah. Even if he scores like 12, you're probably going to need/want it a lot of times. Going down the list, like who else do you even consider? Jedi, I think
Jedi was like way too popular last week.
Yeah, he was more popular than Luca Digne.
Yeah. He was like 60% from what I saw. It was kind of surprising. Maybe like just the American buzz. And I know he has a great floor usually, but it was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like the safest defender play last week. It just I don't it was him and Dean, right? There was nobody else.
Kirkesh was also popular, but he
Kirk,
sucked.
yeah. And I don't know. Robinson probably ran a little bit bad. I mean, everyone else on Fulham smashed except him. We were just saying,
Yeah.
which is pretty rare.
Um,
I don't know. I guess Olaina shut him down.
it must have been. I don't know. Yeah, and this one I actually like just doubling up here on Tottenham defenders. Judge Spence actually has a pretty decent floor. He's 4,700. Seems kind of cheap in this matchup, and like I feel like his floor. I was going to compare him to Robinson a little bit, but maybe not as good as Robinson. But I feel like now that Tottenham are getting back some pieces, it's allowing Spence to be a little more active in the attack. And I don't know. I think I like his game, and I think 4,700 is just too cheap against Ipswich. Is kind of what I want to get to.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's probably the next guy you're considering.
Stupinian is back from injury, so I feel like whether it's Stupinian or Lamptey starting, one of those guys might be subbed off early.
Yep.
So keep that in mind. Also, I guess what we actually I don't know. Do we know if it's Stupinian started? Would he takes? I think him and Menta are both left-footed, right? Would he
Yeah,
still
they
sets
are.
from? Would he still sets from Menta? I don't know if we know that or
Probably.
not.
Probably. I know he did in that he used to. I don't think he'll start though. So hopefully
Right.
we'll see. But
So that'd
yeah,
be
that's
something to keep an eye on. If Stupinian starts, maybe you have less stock in Minta
definitely.
there at
I
9,200.
just yeah. I remember a time when I played Minta and Estupinian ran over from the left to take a right-sided corner, even though Minta's just already over there. So I was like, oh, come on. But I don't know anymore because Minta's been doing well.
This
Yeah,
feels like
after that,
this feels like a
go ahead.
spot. Kirkcash was terrible last week, and people played him. Now people aren't going to play him, and he's going to be good. So just be warned about that one.
Yes, that seems fine for tournaments. Eight Nari, I was going to mention, especially if Semedo doesn't start really, because he hadn't been. He'll split corners, or sorry, if Sarabia doesn't start, he
Oh,
splits
okay.
corners
I
when
was like
when
Semedo.
he splits corners when Sarabia doesn't start. So worth mentioning because he's had some good games when he does. Going down like Kyle Walker-Peters is 2,900 if you really need a punt. Again, these Southampton guys like
That was my guy
2,900 is
last
just
week.
it's ridiculous. I think for Walker-Peters, not like he's a great play, but he should be at least 500 more expensive. I think playing
Yeah,
right wing back
one
basically.
one thing I'll mention: Southampton actually were outplaying Bournemouth at the end of that match last week, and they had this different. They had like James Bree kind of playing like as a center back. They didn't have the wing backs going. It was basically this lineup that I have in here with Walker Peters and Sugawara as fullbacks here, Bednarik and Bree. So just something to keep an eye on for lineups. I would be, he's
Okay.
2,900, so whatever. But obviously, you'd rather have a 2,900 wing back than a $2,900 fullback. So
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I see. Yeah, that
because
makes sense.
it was 2-0. They got a goal. They were like really pushing. I think they had a great chance to tie it up 2-2 against Bournemouth, and then Bournemouth got one on the counter to make it 3-1. Like they were outplaying Bournemouth for the final 20, and this is kind of what their lineup will look like. So that's kind of why I have that in here in case anyone was wondering.
Okay, thanks. The only other guys like, do you want sets for Ipswich? Townsend's 3,400. People played him last time, splitting sets. Leaf Davis, I think, is back now, 4K. Spurs have been a pretty decent spot to target, so I don't mind like cheap Ipswich sets. There's just not a lot else. Um, what else do you do? Saliba's 2,900. I would say that to like a similar option to Walker Peters. Pretty good clean sheet odds. Like, Arsenal keep a clean sheet. Saliba could get you 7. I don't know. Anybody else? Like, there's not a lot of great defender options on this
we
slate
mentioned
besides the
Poro.
guys.
There's not too much more to talk about. Like we have
Right.
the
It's
guys.
Poro and pick whoever.
Poro's basically lock. We mentioned all these other guys. You could really go wherever you want. If you need to save money, then save money and take some of the guys.
It's actually like, it's pretty straightforward slate in a way, but you have a ton of options. But at each position, we already mentioned like Poro lock, Ethan lock, Sasa pretty close for cash games. 3 forwards, pick one or two of them, and then one of the punts. Like the punts are, I don't know. Like
it's not
all
too
the
crazy.
ownership. We'll condense there, and it'll be easy to get different in tournaments. But
so I guess
the best plays seem like the best plays.
So who's the best play at goalkeeper? My first look was
Raya.
Oh wow, you're going Raya.
I don't know, but like you can get the money for him. But if I was punting, I was looking at your boy Dean Hendo.
Dean Hendo at 4.
I also kind of liked Kepa for 54.
So you're spending up.
I don't know. No, I don't. Well, there's so much value you can spend up if you want.
Yeah, I spent up on Kepa last week, and he allowed.
I just don't really want to play. I'm not really trying to target saves. I feel like for many of these cheap keepers, they're all fine, but like I think Arsenal will score. I think Brighton will score. I think Bournemouth will score. So the first team that might not score is Fulham. And Palace's keeper's 4,200, so that was kind of where I was looking.
Fair. I think everyone's in play. First guy I put in is Ramsdale.
Everyone's in play. I've been getting goalkeeper wrong, and it's been costing me on like every slate. So like, do the opposite of what I'm saying.
Is Areola in play?
Yeah, for sure. Like, what if it happens last game? The Leicester keeper almost smashed. Imagine if Arsenal don't score.
They had 5 shots on target. Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking they're usually, super efficient, but now that they're taking fewer shots, like, is it worth it to play, for 3 or 4 saves? I don't know. Maybe they aren't as efficient. Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone's in play.
They will take shots, I think. I think you can put, like, Arsenal will be less efficient than normal.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, Ethan will shoot, Trossard will shoot, Odegaard will shoot, all from outside the box whenever they can.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I'd probably just lean Ramsdale because he's at home.
Yeah, Ramsdale's fine. I mean, like you said, all the keepers are in play.
All right, what's your favorite tournament move here? This is a good slate, I think.
Yeah, I don't really know what my favorite tournament move is, but
there's just a lot of ways you can go, I feel like. And
I like all the cheap Southampton guys we mentioned over like a cheaper set piece taker in tourneys.
So I think one of the bigger questions here, so the way Tottenham play here, they've played a little differently because of their injuries recently. It's not, super high intensive as it has been in the past under Postecoglou. I feel like if we had the Tottenham team of like 3 months ago, maybe even the Ipswich Town 3 months ago, this would be like, okay, let's do a 3-2 type of game. But I don't know. Do you still get the sense that this could be a wild game like that? I'm just not getting the thinking that a Tottenham game can be like that again. But maybe I'm just putting too much into that Man United match, which was dead for the majority of it.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, it's tough to know which Spurs team will show up. Sorry, I just looking at the Leicester and Brentford lineups for the showdown today.
Good lineups.
No. What else was I gonna say for tournaments? I don't. Everything we already said. Like the other two Bournemouth guys that aren't cash game plays look pretty good. If you like Arsenal, I don't think anyone's gonna spend for Trossard. No one's really gonna play Cunha and Eze. If you want to take a shot on either of them, the same as last week. No one's gonna play Fulham guys really. So I don't know. Whatever route you want to take seems fine. There's nothing obvious.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that we got to mention a little bit of everything. We mentioned the Southampton forwards. Brighton will be fairly popular. Rudder's in here. Reuter's in here. Haven't really mentioned him. How much is he anyway?
Like 55 maybe. He would be the low-owned Brighton piece.
5,500.
He's got 20 points in him.
Yeah, he's a goal guy. He's a goal scorer. He's not a floor guy. That's what I've learned about him this season.
And assist too. He's a goal and assist guy, not a floor guy.
And then no one would be surprised if Delap scored.
Yep, you mentioned him. Even Amari. Amari's like 4,500. He got involved last week.
Mateta 8,800 is definitely not going to be played by anyone. So
we'll be like 1% owned.
For a guy who can get a brace, who will be 1% owned, Mateta is your guy. And I mean, look at his goals. He has 7 in his last 6 games. A couple braces in there. So if you want to play someone who has brace upside and definitely won't be popular, that's Mateta. So in case you're looking at that Crystal Palace side. Any thoughts of West Ham and Evan Ferguson, or you still believe in the Arsenal back line?
No, it's just too big of a slate. Not that I do believe in it, but I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham scored, but I'm just not going to play their guys here.
Yeah.
I've lost enough money with Kudus and company.
Was that last week?
He probably scores here, though.
Were they on the slate last week?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was that Brentford match. Okay.
Yeah.
Kudus had an 11-point floor in the end.
Yep.
All right, that's all we got. You got anything else here?
Nothing else here.
Ryan's got to set his Brentford Leicester City lineups. No surprises. No surprises in the squads. We got Flecky going in here against are you going to captain Woyo Koulibaly, his first start for Leicester City?
No, I don't think so. I was looking at his numbers at Parma. Not that that's a big correlation, but
big Parmesan guy over there.
Yeah. Is this a Jordan Ayew game?
Did Parmesan cheese originate in Parma? Is that why it's called Parmesan cheese? Do you know this?
I don't know, Adam, but I need to know if Ayew is going to score me 10 floor, or if he's going to score 5 and get subbed at 70.
Buonanotte, Mavadidi, Daka. Okay. We know Bobby's going to get subbed. On Ayer's side, yeah, he's getting a 10+ floor for sure.
Okay.
No, I like this spot. I like the spot for Leicester. If you're still listening, I did a corners bet for this match, also on our YouTube page. Check that out, corners and wagers on this Leicester City Brentford match. But that's all we got. So Ryan, thank you. You can find him at Ryan Belongia. I'm at Zdroik. Rotowire.com/soccertrial 48-hour trial. Make sure to subscribe. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got 2 weeks before Champions League, I think that's the schedule. But we'll be around. I think we got midweek stuff coming up in the Premier League, so we'll see what the schedule looks like then. And then there's a weekend off. It must be FA Cup weekend next weekend. So we'll see what the schedule looks like either way. Check out our Discord, rotowire.com/chat. If you have any more questions. Ryan, thank you. We'll see everyone in the future. Good luck on this slate.
Thanks, Adam. Good luck, everybody.